Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 horror sequel Hell House LLC 3 Lake of Fire. And this is once again brought to us by Stephen Cognetta, who is the writer and director. And this is the continuing saga of the Hell House films. Now, the first Hell House film I didn't review on this channel, I reviewed over on Geek Leads No Doom. And I reviewed the director's cut, which is a superior version with added bits in when they got a bit more budget. And I just found that to be a massively effective found footage horror film. Really creepy and really quite scary. And last year I did my top 10 found footage films and it made it quite high up on the list from what I can remember. I just really enjoyed the first Hell House film. The second one I did enjoy, not as much as the first one, but I thought it was a decent sequel. And now we have part 3. And what do we get in part 3? Well, in this one, it follows on from the events of the second one, and it's some time later, and rather than demolish the Abaddon Hotel, it has been bought by a wealthy some wealthy guy who wants to do up the hotel and put on a play there, quite a popular play called Insomnia, and then bring the audience in and make this huge interactive play with the backdrop of the Abaddon Hotel and all the mystery and horror surrounding it and mystique and all that kind of stuff. But as you could imagine, with this being the Abaddon Hotel, things don't necessarily go according to plan. And he invites a documentary crew to come in and film the whole process and things. And as the film progresses, things get weirder and weirder, creepier and creepier, until on the opening night of the play Insomnia, things come to a head. Right, so what are my thoughts on Hell House 3, Hell House LLC Part 3, Lake of Fire? Bit of a mouthful there. Well, very similar thoughts to the second one. I always think I think it's always going to be difficult to match up to, I think, the superior original film. I mean, genuinely, if you've never seen that, you really must watch it. It really creeped me out, and I thought it was very scary. And the second one and the third one are almost very similar films in like they try very hard to match the first one, but they just can't really. There are some effective things that take place here, a couple of creepy things here and there. Some of it kind of feels like they're still trying to mirror some of the scares they got in the first one, like with the clown things and what have you. And some of it was reasonably original, but ultimately I think it's a very watchable sequel, and it kind of ties the three movies together. But ultimately, the big problem that you have with this film is if you haven't seen the first two, you're going to absolutely struggle with this. Which, for a third film, why are you going to watch it anyway if you haven't seen the first two? Which I think is fair enough. But I've seen the first two, and at times there's quite a lot of flashbacks in this, and I struggled to keep up and figure out who was which character was which. And this film doesn't do a particularly good job of fleshing out the main characters, so you don't have much of a connection to them, and there's a couple of them I think the performances kind of let them down. There's one guy who's supposed to be one of the actors in the Insomnia play, and they're filming him for the behind the scenes stuff and what have you, and it just seemed a bit wooden to say he was supposed to be playing an actor. And it kind of at times focuses too much, this film, on trying to expand the lore and mythology of the story, rather than focusing on the very core of it, which should be to scare the audience. There are elements of it that feel quite familiar, and they do take some risks in a couple of other areas. I'm not going to say they all paid off. I thought it was a very interesting ending to the film, how they all tried to tie all the three films together. I'll be honest, I didn't expect the ending that we got. I'm not sure whether, again, that's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm not sure everybody's going to appreciate the ending, but I thought it was an interesting way to end the three films, put it that way. For the first time as well, there's not as much time, strangely, spent in the hotel as the first two. There's quite a bit of time spent outside the hotel, And there's a couple of things that don't make a lot of sense. The guy that owns the hotel, this Russell guy who's putting on the play, has left strict instructions that nobody's to go in the hotel after dark, at all. However, he doesn't deem it fit to lock the hotel, so some of the actors get drunk one night, decide to do a bit of truth or dare type stuff, and one of them goes in, and it's just open the door and in you go. So anybody could go in, even members of the public could have gone in, and so it just seems a bit of an odd thing. And when you actually realise who this Russell is by the end of the film, and he clearly understands the dangers of the hotel, why he wouldn't have taken more precautions. So it kind of there are things that contradict and don't make an awful lot of sense here and there. But I'm not going to say I wasn't entertained by this film, because I was. I do think you definitely need to have watched and understood the first two to understand this. I do think it ties the three films off nicely. There are elements of this that work, there are elements that don't work, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I think all three films stood together, if you watched one after each other, they would probably make an awful lot more sense then. So as a trilogy of films, they work quite well, but I do think there's aspects they could have added into this film to make it a bit scarier and creepier, rather than sometimes an over-reliance on previous scares that we saw in other films. So that is my review for Hell House LLC 3 Lake of Fire. I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching, everybody, and of course I'll see you next time on Screen Stars.